about how teachers are evaluated at the school?
T-test.
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 And does T-test involve teacher observation? Okay. And how often are those conducted?
We have one big observation once a year.
And then I don't know how many walkthroughs they call.
I don't know how many they have to do.
I don't either.
Maybe 3?
Maybe
I don't know why that number's in my head. They might have to do 3 walkthroughs.
Okay. And that all goes into the
Yeah.
T-test. Okay.
Yeah.
And can you tell me how feedback is given to you all in the process of evaluation?
Through DMAC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had to stop and think a minute. Yeah. DMAC.
Okay. And are there any consequences for teachers that are not meeting expectations?
We don't have any.
We're all meeting
That is
expectations.
a good question. This one is sometimes hard to answer because I usually get the teachers that say, well, I haven't been below, so I don't know. Okay.
Not that can be seen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that doesn't mean something's not being done.
Just maybe not.
Confidentially, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
So maybe not
Yeah.
like a clear process to everyone.
No.
Okay. And so that may inform this follow-up here. But what steps are involved, to your knowledge, in bringing expectations back up or bringing performance back to expectations?
Don't we have something, like there's some type of plan? Like an improvement plan? That's not what it's called though. It's called some type of plan.
I don't know about that. All I know about is us following that pacing guide and the, the scope and sequence and the pacing guide and.
You mean like on T-test? Is there one? Is that? Will you
Bringing
repeat the
up
question?
Sure, yeah.
Student expectations.
Go.
No, sorry, for teachers, we're still on teacher performance. Sorry about that.
Teacher
So in teacher
performance.
performance,
Okay.
are there
I'm
any
getting
steps
confused.
involved in bringing a below expectation teacher back up to expectation?
There's something called a growth plan.
A growth plan. Okay.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's out there.
It may be coming down the chute.
Okay. Thank you guys. All right, and then so we're going to start talking a little bit more about students, and we'll open with a very general question for you all. And that is, what are the biggest challenges that your enrolled students face? And it can be however you operationalize challenge.
I think for my kids, it's the ones who want to learn are being distracted by a few that don't want to learn. That just want to come to school to play.
Right.
Across the grade levels. It's that way I've seen it. And those few make it sound like it's the whole class, but really when you pin it down, it's just a few.
It's like 2 or 3. Maybe even one.
In every class,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I think of it a little differently, but
Okay, how do you see it?
I think that this is just my personal opinion because I've got kids in this generation. They've been raised with accumulation of written knowledge at their fingertip, so they don't understand why I'm making them write something or try to figure something out when they don't need to know. All they need to. Yes.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the challenge: is trying how to make them still learn something, so when the grid goes down, they'll be prepared.
Right. Right. Well, that's interesting.
I've been thinking about this a lot. I put a lot of thought into that one.
I have too, but you'll get me on a soapbox and I can't even get started because I won't stop.
All right, well, depending on our time when we're done, maybe we can circle back to a few things. Sorry, so getting a little bit more specific with students, I'll be asking about educationally disadvantaged students and lowest performing students. And so for our study, we're classifying educationally disadvantaged as those at risk of dropping out, and then lowest performing as the bottom 10% in math and reading. So I know it's a little bit different than some definitions. So with that in mind, let me know if I need to repeat the definitions.
Yes, I'm sorry the phone went off. I'll turn the ringer on.
Not a problem. So with educationally disadvantaged students, we're considering those to be those students considered to be at risk of dropping out.
Okay, so at-risk kids. Okay.
Right. And then with lowest performing, we're thinking of those students in the bottom 10% in reading and math. And so it's one of those populations, like there can be some crossover, but one's not always the other. So with that, how do you tailor your instruction to support your educationally disadvantaged students, the at-risk students?
Strategies.
Strategies.
Marzano's strategies, modifying, and all of that
Modify the lesson. I try to have it read to them, have them if when I can. I know mine's different. They can't do that in English. But like if we have a passage to read, I may have it where it can be read aloud to them.
Right.
Fill in the blank, copies of notes.
all those different tools to help them.
Yeah, it's different strategies.
What's the
and
word
methodologies.
for it? It's
Modifications?
modifications. There's another one too. Anyway, yeah.
Differentiation is the one that springs
Differentiation,
to mind for
yeah.
me. So you mentioned you guys have done Marzano, so you've done the high reliability schools training?
Years ago I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so,
No idea
okay.
what she's talking about.
Okay. Sorry, that's one of our other programs that we do. And then do you, or is there anything different that you do for your lowest performing students that you don't do for your educationally disadvantaged?
All those modifications, more time, giving them notes instead of
Note
having them
taking.
copy them.
Right.
I do more
peer-
fill in the blank.
Yeah,
Okay.
and peer help sometimes. All those. There's a whole list of things we can do for them.
And try to break it down into smaller steps.
Right.
You know what? You do this and then do this.
And model, I model a lot. Where
Yeah.
your higher kids, you can just say, go do this.
Mhm.
And with the other ones, you've got to
Slow down and
write it out.
Right.
Write it out.
Okay. So definitely using some of those same strategies, but maybe more depth of strategy with the lowest performing. Okay. Thank you, guys. All right. So that was one of those, it's two questions on the page, but it's really kind of like one question. So moving into student discipline, can you describe your approach to managing student behavior in the classroom?
You know, like how we.
Right. So like, how do you get a handle on classroom management or on student behavior?
I don't know, it's kind of different because I teach 8th grade, so I can treat them more like an adult.
Yeah.
I like to talk to them, by themselves and give them time to self-correct. If that doesn't work, then I call a parent, and usually that corrects the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, I had the parent come up and sit in the room.
Right. Okay.
So,
I just try consistent expectations every time. The same thing. You know what's expected when you walk across the threshold of my door. You know, when you walk inside the door, this is the environment you're walking into.
Right.
The hall's different than the classroom. You know, just those classroom expectations,
Mm-hmm.
and reinforce that.
I'm still winging it. This is only my second year.
Okay.
I've learned I'm learning what doesn't work. I've assigned students to help, like they write down names of kids that are off task. And 5 marks is they lose their free time, 10 is a detention and lose their free time, and 15 is a write-up, which I know there's way too many chances, but so, and that may change next year. And I do pull them outside and address the behavior too.
Right.
And I try to restate expectations. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the population of student. Yeah. Well, when we're back next year, we'll see what you have to say. And kind of getting at that, have your approaches to classroom behavior changed since the first year that you, or maybe the first year of this school being in operation, or the STEAM Academy?
so you're talking about since last year?
Yeah.
Okay, mine haven't changed.
Okay.
I haven't either.
Mine has.
Right. Trying to find.
What doesn't
Yeah.
work and does work.
Thank you, guys. And then, out of the classroom management strategies that you employ, which have you found to be the most effective?
That depends on the child.
Yeah.
I mean, because some of them you can just threaten, like, do that again, we'll call your parent. They completely, stop. And then others, you actually have to, go and call the parent
Right.
and have the parent talk to them.
Okay.
And then So, I mean, it really kind of depends on the child.
Right.
And some you just